What's up, everybody? It is the Koosh Doctor here. Welcome to another beginner video. This time we are going to talk about character progression. This is going to be, your main grind, your main leveling, the main thing that you are doing to get your characters more powerful. And this game does it very similarly to the way other games do it, but it looks a lot different because it's just set up in a different way. Um, I did not play Snow Prince other game, so I'm not sure how they set it up, but I imagine it would have been a very similar system. So we're going to take a look at our characters, we're going to look at the screens, and we're going to find out what's going to be the most important, once you need to focus on, what you can see from all these screens, and where to go from there. Again, if you like my comment, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have questions, let me know. We're all trying to learn this together. Make sure you head over to the Discord. I know we talk about a lot of things there, so we would definitely love to have you, and hopefully we can all enjoy this game together. You'll also want to check out some of my other videos. I'm going to talk a little bit in this, as I kind of always will in the beginner videos, about who to focus on, what to focus on, where to do it, and what's going to be the most important. One of the things I talked about before in my beginner tips video is you are going to want to focus on the characters that you can use most in the campaigns, because they are going to, if you put more resources and materials into them, they are going to give you the most bang for the buck. So for instance, you've got Certus, you've got Tigurius, you've got Bellator. Those three are going to be the main characters that you are using in your main Indomitus campaign, which is the one you start with. It's the one you open up first, and they're going to be levels that you can only use those three characters on. Once you get to the other campaigns, you will have other sets of three characters that you can only use on some levels in those campaigns. So even though, certain characters might be more powerful, like a Morvenn Vahl, who's a legendary character, we'll go over what that means in a little bit. Again, you're going to want to focus on pouring your resources into the ones that you're going to use in the campaign, because as we talk about this progression and leveling and the grind, the most important thing for you when you are spending time on this game is getting the most bang for your buck. And it is going to be a little bit of a grind. That's how all these gacha games are. But you will notice it's got kind of a waterfall system where you'll level these three guys up. You'll go through the Indomitus campaign. That will unlock characters that you then use in the Indomitus mirror. As you are playing other parts of the game, you will get the Chaos characters. You will then be able to open the Fall of Chaos, or the Fall of Cadia, sorry, campaign, where you're using the Chaos characters. In there, you will unlock the Imperial Guard characters that you then use in the mirror. Also in other game modes, you'll unlock the Orcs that you use in Octarius. They don't have a mirror as of yet, but they help you unlock the Black Templar characters, which are pretty cool in PvP. Not super handy and useful as of yet. So let's get into it. Let's start talking about these characters again. You can go back to my other beginner videos to learn about those things. So here is your main character screen. I've talked before about how you can click on any single one of these things and it will tell you abilities, what they do. You'll find out what it means, why it's important, what type of damage profiles you have, the penetration characteristics, all things that are super important. The number one thing and the biggest issue that you are going to run into is these shards, the character shards that you have to get, as well as their orbs. That is how you level up what they call the character rarity. So the rarity, depending on the level of the character when you first unlock them, some of them will already unlock as common, uncommon, rare, epic, or legendary. So if you have a character that starts as a legendary, you unlock them as a legendary, they've already gone through technically all the rest of this progression and they're at the highest level of their stats. So we'll go over the next tier down, what you want to get into that, which is going to be rank, and then we'll talk about level and abilities. So again, first and most important is going to be this rarity. There's a couple of reasons for that. So as you look through the screen, you'll notice you start out with Certus, right? And he's just common. So in the beginning, you can only get him to level 8. So as you level your characters up, here's your little level bar in the middle. As you use them in anything, they will get experience. And as they continue to get experience, they will level up. One of the caps that you are going to run into is based on their rarity. That is going to allow you a max level for not only their regular level, but also their ability levels. So let's say that I still had Certus just as a common character. I could not get him above level 8. So he would be maxed out at level 8. So he wouldn't be up to 16. And I could only get his skills up to level 8. You'll notice I stopped there anyways, and we'll go over that in a second as far as abilities go. But again, rarity is going to be the most important thing. That's what you're going to have to grind the most. Now, one of the nice things about this game, we've talked about when you click on things, what they show you and they teach you and you can figure things out, right? So you want to figure out where to get his shards from. So if you click on it, here are all the options to get the shards. So one is requisition drops, right? So that's just from the basic getting your drops. It's completely random. You never know what you're going to get. And you've got a low chance to get, the character that you want, right? So that is going to be your most kind of random, low chance way of leveling up your character shards. The better way is to find them inside these battles. Now, not every character is going to have these options, right? Some of the characters in the beginning, like if we go over to Morven Vol, who's a legendary that I got super lucky when I started this account, she dropped. Right now, the only way you can get her is through requisition drops. So if you get lucky, you get a legendary character. That's cool, right? It is very helpful, and you can use Imperials in the Indomitus campaign, but not every level will let you use the extra characters. So she doesn't get to be around all the time, but I do get to use her in a lot of the other areas. So that can be really helpful as well. She's a very powerful character. And as you see, when I get her and she starts out, so she's already got her 3 reds, she's already legendary, she's already up there. So you'll see everything else above here is all grayed out, right? So the only things I can do with her now is continue to get the shards and orbs, and then eventually you get her up to like the gold star. I don't know what they call this level yet, but it's right now it's your max star. So if you ever see anybody who has a character that has this crazy green star, that's the max kind of rank that they can get to, right? So again, we go through here, you can see the max level they can get to on each section. It will also show you where you need to get those orbs. So for the most part, when you look at a character and you are leveling them up, when they are just going through their normal standard star levels, like 1 star to the next star, it's only going to take a certain amount of shards. And of course, you'll notice as you go up, the amount of shards it's going to take in between each star is going to be higher. So in the beginning, you had to get 10 to get him to a 1 star. Then you had to get 15 to get him to the 2 star. Then when he went to the 3 star, he became uncommon, and you had to get 15 of his shards, and you had to get 10 uncommon orbs to get him up to uncommon. Now, this is one of the big breakpoints in characters, and we'll talk about power levels and tier lists and all those types of things. One of the big things is going to be, you will see now his second ability opens up. So whenever you get a character into uncommon, so this first, what they call Ascension, that is going to be really the most important breakpoint of a character. When they only have one of their 2 skills, so only have one of their 2 abilities, many characters are not nearly as strong. Certus is still pretty strong. There are some characters, actually Morven Vol is one, that's still pretty strong even if she only had one. But some of your characters, one of the most important, and one of the ones who's running in a campaign, right, or in a special event right now, is Vindicta. If you don't get her second level where she can crit and extra explode on her flame shots, she feels far less powerful, and she goes to, yeah, she gets a couple of attacks, she can set things on fire, to all of a sudden things are exploding, and you actually have to watch out because she's powerful enough to one-hit your own characters in case you get them in the way. When we do like a intermediate tips video, we'll probably talk more about Vindicta, but that's just a quick little tidbit on her. So again, going going back to your characters, rank is going to be the first thing that you want to focus on. So getting your character shards and getting the orbs are going to be the most important thing. Orbs are extremely hard to come by. You can get them in Arena, you can get them in the guild raid, and then there's one other special way to. Oh, nope, sorry, you can't do it that way. Onslaught actually gives you the shards for the abilities, so we'll go over that in a little bit. But again, your biggest thing that you have to worry about in the beginning is getting your character shards, getting their rarity levels up, so that way their stats get better, their levels get better, and then the one other thing that we're going to talk about, which is what we call their rank, that is going to be the second part that is most important to getting your character's stats up. And again, that is going to be limited by your rarity. So you'll notice on here in his first, so in Certus's first just a common, his max rank is Iron 1. So down here, where now I've got him up to Iron 2, he couldn't get that high if he was not an uncommon. So you would notice that he would be capped out and you can't get him any further. I don't think I've got any other characters like that at the moment. But you may see that on some of your lower level characters. If you don't have them leveled up high enough, you'll see, like here's Emma Spec, right? He's just common right now because I haven't leveled him up enough yet. So his second ability isn't open yet. You still have to get him to uncommon. And as I'm adding things here and going from stone to iron, he'll get stuck. So stone's going to be your very bottom. Then you'll get to go up to iron. After iron, you'll get up into bronze. Bronze will then take you to silver. Silver, of course, takes you to gold. And then your max is going to be what they call diamond. You've probably seen those colors or metals or whatever you want to call them in a lot of other games. It's kind of a common progression system. But again, the most important thing to start with is going to be your rarity, because everything is going to play off your rarity. So if your rarity is not high enough, A, you're not going to have a very powerful character, and B, you won't even have the options to make him very powerful because you won't have extra abilities unlocked. And then once you get them up to rare, they'll also be able to use a third item slot. So that's relatively important to getting them more powerful. There aren't a ton of great items out there right now, but you know, every little bit helps. But every time you take a character and you level their rank up, it will give them better stats. As you get their levels up, it will give them better stats. And of course, as you get their ranks up, it will give you better stats. But the thing to focus on in the beginning is improving their rank so that everything else can fall into place. And then you also have to be careful about how you spend your orbs, because these orbs, you don't get a lot of them. And because you're going to need a set of 10 of them for each character that you are getting ascended, you have to watch out for how you're spending those in the beginning, because you're not going to have a lot of them left. So be careful where you spend those, and make sure, I'd say especially in the beginning, you are spending them on those characters that are going to be useful, right? So you've got your main 3 Ultramarines characters for the Indomitus campaign. Then you've got your main 3 Necron characters. Or sorry, this is easier to see. You've got your first 3 Necron characters that are important for when you're doing the Indomitus mirror. When you get the 3 characters, see, they don't do it that way for the Black Legion. Volk actually isn't a character that you need for their campaign. So it's not always just the first 3 characters on here. Golgorts, for example, is one that you do need for the Orc campaign, but you'll see he's down the line. The Astra Militarum splits it up also, the 3 that you need. Right now, the Death Guard and the Black Templar, well, Black Templar, I guess, is the only one. Well, you can use them in an Imperial campaign. So I guess technically any of the factions right now you can use in a campaign. Your Imperial campaign, which is your Indomitus, you can use Ultramarines, you can use the Sisters, you can use the Astra Militarum, and you can use the Black Templar. So all 4 of those can be used, but again, there are going to be certain levels that only these first 3 guys are going to be. So you're going to want to focus on them in the beginning. When you're going through the Indomitus mirror, you're going to want to focus on those 3 Necrons in the beginning, because they are the ones who are going to, again, give you the most bang for your buck, because again, it's a waterfall type game. So as you are going through and doing the Indomitus campaign, you can also see at the bottom here what you have the random chance of getting. So we'll go into that again in a second, but it'll be important for being able to see which shards you can get and then which items you can get. So again, there's 2 ways of seeing that, right? So you can go to the character. Let's say, so right now I've got Tigurius, right? So I've only got one thing left to get him up to Iron 2, right? This Adamantium Repair Kit. So here I can try and find it, and it will tell me where it's going to be. Well, right now I don't have the Fall of Cadia campaign, right? So I can't get any of the abilities without having my 3 Chaos guys. So remember how we talked about that waterfall effect? You're going to start with Indomitus, you're going to go to Indomitus Mirror, you're going to unlock either the Fall of Cadia or the Octarius campaign with the Orcs, and then those are going to give you access to being able to level up your characters again. So eventually, after probably 2 to 3 weeks or so, you're going to hit a wall, right? You're going to make it to a place where you have made it as far as you can make it in the Indomitus campaign. Usually it's here in the 70s, you'll see. And then when you're fighting Anafet, unless you have your characters leveled up to a certain level, you can't even do damage to him. He's not going to take damage. He's just going to one-shot all your guys. So it's really important that as you are going through and progressing and doing your daily missions, what you're focusing on, again, number 1 priority is going to be getting that rarity up. So you're going to want to be getting those shards. If you can get orbs in places, you're going to want to get orbs, because that's going to be your number 1. Some characters, if you don't use them very often, you can use the tomes to give them experience. And basically you just click on one, you click on apply, it costs a little bit of gold, which you have tons of, and then it levels them up, right? So it keeps giving them experience. As you keep tapping it, eventually he will go up a level and he levels up, and yeah, you can do more things. Super fun, right? So that's not super important for the characters that you are using more often, because they will naturally get experience. But for instance, if you've just unlocked a new character, you can go through and give him levels. Some characters won't be able to use certain items to level their rank up until you get them to a certain level. So see this one, for instance, he's got to be level 2 before I can put the that on him. Then he's got to be level 3 before I can put this armor on him. So while we're here and while we're talking about it, let's just show you an example of this and what things will look like when you have these different options. So right now, I can't level up his abilities. I can't put these other items on him because he's not high enough level. So I add some levels to him, right? I like to level my guys up to level 5 just because it doesn't take a ton of these tomes. As you can see, I've got tons of extra tomes because I don't use them, and we get them up to level 5. Now, when you go back here, you'll notice these have now popped up green. So anything green means that you have the resources and the ability to either place that or upgrade that. We'll go over upgrading weapons in just a second, because that's going to be another thing to character leveling and progression, right? So now I can go here. I've already got one of these. I can put them on him. You'll notice when you look at these, they will tell you what stats they increase, right? So when I put this piece on him, his armor is going to go up by 3. Okay, so I apply that, his armor goes up 3. Then once you've got all 6 slots on there, you can rank him up. Okay, so now I've ranked him up. Again, he's getting higher abilities. So here's one again. Now his damage goes up, right? So I apply that. There, his damage goes up. So this one, armor. So right now his armor's at a 33. You apply it, his armor goes up to a 34. The other thing that you'll notice that we didn't really talk about, but I talked about in my beginner video, your power score is going to be the combined power level of all of your characters. So instead of having a standard experience system where your account levels up, you're actually going to have kind of a power level or a power score. And so as you are leveling your characters up, you will automatically increase your power score. And then you'll notice usually once you get to the next level of power, That's one of the main ways that you get your requisition scrolls, so you can roll for more characters. As a side note, um, the game creators have said only are you guaranteed a character if you wait to do 10 requisitions at once. So you may wait and try to use the Blackstone for that, which I don't recommend. We'll have another video for that. But I recommend waiting until you have the 10, so that way you can do all the pulls at once. You know you're going to get a character. All right, this has been a little all over the board. It's been kind of a long video, so we're going to try to shore this up a little bit. But again, I want to go over a couple of things we didn't quite hit on yet. All right, so number one, most important is your rarity. Make sure you're getting your characters to uncommon at least as soon as you possibly can, and then focus on those characters that you're going to be using in the campaigns because they are going to unlock everything else for you. Remember our waterfall. So again, we start there. Second, to help your stats the most is going to be your rank. So you are going to want to go and find these pieces that you can get. You can go raid for them if you want. So here's an example, right? So we go to battle 71. You'll see it gives me an option every time to get this drop. You click on the little dice, it will tell you. So every time I battle and win Indomitus 71, I have a 25% chance of getting that item. So in theory, if I beat this 4 times in one day, if you want to start doing math hammer, 6 energy, right? Times 4, so 24 energy. In theory, if I expend 24 energy on this level, I should at least get one of these to use for my guy to level up, right? So that is how you use that. Also hit this little back button in case so you can go back to the previous page that you were at, just a little way of getting through those easier. But again, you see all these different ways of getting them from the different campaigns. So again, the important thing is going to be focus on your characters first that you're using in those campaigns. Go back to my other video if you need to, or even just look at the campaigns. When you look at the campaigns, it will tell you and show you in greens the one you have, and then the ones that you don't have will not have green on them, right? So those are going to be important. Everything waterfalls off of that. All right. All right. So Certus, we went through that. We went through leveling. We went through the ranking. The last one we didn't go over is their equipment. Each character can only have 3 pieces of equipment. You can only equip them as you get higher in rank. So for instance, again, we talked about that really being the point of your ceiling is always going to be your rarity because it's going to affect everything else about your character, and it's the hardest thing to level up. It's pretty easy to get tomes and equipment and other things, but it's hard to get shards for these characters. So for instance, Immaspec, my favorite guy, my Hexmark Destroyer, who's total trash, the only way you can get him is battle 30 in the Indomitus campaign, right? And every day, you're only going to be able to do that a certain amount of times, right? So every time I raid this, I've got a 33% chance, so a 1 in 3. So every 3 raids I do, I'm hopefully going to get 1 shard. And I can only do it 10 times each day. So in theory, I'm only getting 3 or 4 shards of his every day, unless for some reason I get lucky, but it's probably going to average out at 3 or 4, right? And so in theory, now I've got 2 left. So if I rated the rest of those levels, I could get another 2 and get him up to his next level. So see, right now he's at common, he's just got the 1 gold star. So his next level, see the 15, he gets to the 2-star, it gives him some better stats, and then the next one is the important one because that's going to get him his second ability, and that's going to make him much more useful when I'm using him in the campaign. So again, rarity is going to be the most important because it's going to waterfall down to everything else. These guys, here's your equipment. Right now, you'll see I've chosen to do crit chance as much more important than crit damage. That's just my opinion on what's a better idea. So I go for a higher crit chance than I do higher crit damage. I'd much rather have the chance to crit and they do a little bit more than less of a chance to crit, but they do a lot more damage when they do it. That's just me. You'll also notice it'll tell you if any of the other characters have it equipped. Normally it will be in gray on here if for some reason you can't equip it. So again, your gear is going to have a rarity on it, just like your character does. So because he's not uncommon yet, I can't use this uncommon weapon or equipment or whatever you want to call it. I guess equipment's the better way to go. But usually you'll have the weapon, you'll have a defensive piece, and then you'll have something that crits their boost. Those depend on the characters, or it's always crit. Maybe I'm wrong. Excellent. It's always crit, but it's a really low crit chance. So you'll notice on your weapons, right? 35% crit chance on this uncommon. His quote unquote crit booster item only gives him 2% crit chance. So I don't know if there's better equipment out there that I haven't seen, but it seems like your first piece of equipment is going to be the most beneficial, and then the second helps you out a little bit with damage. Sometimes you can get some higher health as well. You will also notice I've got these little green pluses over here where it says Forge. In case you have not already spent all of your Forge material, it is not easy to get Forge material. You can reclaim the materials that you are not using, and that can get you Forge material, but so far I've not seen a ton of places to get Forge material, right? So you really don't get a lot of that. In the beginning, when I wasn't really knowing what I was doing, I would just go in and level these things up. I do not suggest using your Forge material early on. It doesn't make that big of a difference, and you're going to want to wait until you get rare items. One of the slightly weird things about this game is you'll notice a common item is kind of a whitish grayish color, and then the uncommon is kind of this goldish color, and then when you get a rare item or a piece of equipment, it's going to be like it's a whitish bluish almost, and it's a little weird they do those colors. Like, see, this is a rare, even though it looks kind of like a common. So the common's kind of a grayish, like a darker grayish, I guess. And the rare is a little bit more of a brighter white, so you can see the difference a little bit better there. But just don't get fooled. And again, see, so here's 35% crit chance plus 66 crit damage. That equipment is going to be super powerful. And when we go over the video on what you should spend Blackstone on when you are going down through your store, orbs and equipment are going to be the best bang for your buck because you're going to get to use them for a long time. So if you have like a rare item, piece of equipment that you can get from one of your characters, go ahead and spend some Blackstone on it. If you're really desperate and you've hit a wall and you need like one of these pieces of equipment, either ask your guild. Better guilds and more active guilds are going to be really helpful in that. When you go to your guild screen, you can see you'll be able to donate. It gives you gold. That's not really the important part. The important part is your friends, your guild mates, they probably need these to level up their characters. So if you have extra, go ahead and donate those out. And if you need some, then you can ask for some. Because again, there are going to be some of these, like right now, I'm not high enough at any of these campaigns to be able to, well, sorry, I am the one, but sometimes you're going to have all of these grayed out because you won't be able to get those. You may need to buy it from the store if you're desperate, or you may need to ask your guild for some help, right? So that helps you out, but those are going to stay on your character for a long time for the most part, especially once you get the rare ones, because it's going to be a long time before you get anything higher than that rare, and it'll be a long time before you can get your characters up to rare. And again, one of the reason the legendary characters are so powerful and so helpful is that you can level them up as much as you need to because they're legendary. So you can make their levels go as high as you want. You can get their rank up as high as you want. You can use all three of their equipment levels. You can equip legendary equipment if you want to. Here I can put my rare on Morven Vault. And in the beginning, you're not going to have a lot of rare characters. You're not going to have a lot of that level. And so if you get rare items, only a few are going to be able to use those, right? Um, so I guess the last thing I'll talk about real quick is these events that they do where you can get characters, get shards, and get them leveled up. That's going to be a big focus on you. So right now they're doing this Roswitha event, and as you are doing things, you get these little shards, and that's kind of like getting regular Roswitha shards to get her rarity leveled up. So that's super, super helpful right now. And if you ever see these events, that is going to be what you're going to want to focus on. Maybe she's not good right now, but later on down the road, she might become more powerful, or she might help you in a place you didn't think she was going to help you out in, or he, whatever the character might be. But this is going to be your best opportunity early on to make sure you can focus on making this one character stronger. And of course, that's going to make everything else about your team stronger. Hopefully this was kind of linear and made sense. If you guys have any questions, again, drop a comment, head over to the Discord. We also do now have a Reddit opened up. So if you guys have anything you need there, just look me up. As you can see, my name everywhere is going to be Koosh Doctor. It's my Discord, it's my screen names, it's my emails. You will see Koosh Doctor everywhere. So if you need anything from me, let me know. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this video. Hopefully you learned something. Please like and subscribe. I've got more coming, and we'll see you guys out on the battlefield. Have a great day.